the thing about it is this. Another thing. I've got this from Bill Barnwell from ESPN. Forgot to shut off the renewal thing on the ESPN thing.
Oh, I shut it off.
And
they want too much money now.
I even set a reminder to shut it off.
Damn it!
Yeah, wait, I probably should.
$119.
Yeah.
What?
Out of
It's a year, right? It's a year, though, right?
Right for the year.
Yeah, man. It's all right, bro. Get that plus. It's worth it. Keep with the plus.
I was thinking, like, I don't need this anymore. Here I'm in sports, but I don't need this anymore. But I thought I turned it off, and I got hit with the $119 bill the other day.
Yeah, mine was like over $200.
And I sent myself a reminder to do it, to shut it off. And I thought I did it the right way, but I didn't. All right. Speaking of money, can the Cowboys afford to keep their big three? This is from Barnwell. He's saying Prescott, Lamb, Parsons were making just over $47 million per year combined on their most recent deals, with most of that coming from Prescott, who's taking home $40 million. Lamb has already picked up a significant raise by virtue of reaching his fifth-year option, which will pay him nearly $18 million a season. But there's more to come. There are round numbers each of these players should aim for in their new deals. Prescott could become the NFL's first $60 million player. Lamb should try and match Jefferson's $35 million average. And Parsons, arguably the most dynamic pass rusher in football, should top Nick Bosa's $34 million average. Challenge to become the league's most expensive non-quarterback. He's saying if we plug in the $35 million per season for both Lamb and Parsons, the Cowboys would need to pay three of them a combined $130 million per season on their next deals to keep them around. A decade ago, the salary cap for an entire team was $133 million. So we're talking about a staggering sum of money. They're also saying here that the Cowboys build he's asking the question, can the Cowboys build a Super Bowl caliber team around those three cornerstone players? And he's saying, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you'd probably have to lean no on that.
I think the answer is no. I mean, he gave some good examples that, I mean, maybe you'll get to, but
yeah,
the recent history says no.
Yeah, he's just saying, even if we assume the salary cap rises another 10% to 281 in 2025, they'd be looking at three players whose individual average salaries amount to more than 12% of the cap apiece. While the Cowboys will structure deals to keep the cap respectable, the average salaries of these three combined players will be more than 46% of the cap in 2025. Is that even feasible roster construction?
No,
it's not. You can't. It's just not something that is possible. Raiders tried it with Carr, Adams, Crosby. That lasted a year. They didn't make the playoffs. Rams did it with Stafford, Donald, Kupp. They didn't make the playoffs, right? And you have injury impacts with those guys as well. So it's very tough to expect to be able to build a roster that can compete with three players taking up nearly half of your salary cap.
Yeah, I'd love to see them time it where they load up a lot of the cap hits to happen very early, in the contracts, and then have the years afterward, their numbers coming down in a significant way. You got to do it one way or the other, where you're picking, hey, let's try to blow out as much of this hit as possible, because with them playing on the average of the years and the total, it becomes difficult. But you can, it just takes a good salary cap guy to work around that.
Let me ask you this. Barnwell says that the fact that the Cowboys draft well, they should try it. The fact that they draft well, and if you're able to sign all three, that drafting these players as supplementary players would give you the opportunity. Do you feel like the Cowboys, are you a little bit questionable about the Cowboys drafting well now?
I'm not.
No, there's just nobody's good enough to draft. I mean, even the Cowboys, they've been this good at drafting this whole time. Okay, for the last decade, we want to say they've been the best drafting team. What has it netted them? So now you're going to make it even more difficult with basically 2 quarterback salaries on your roster for 3 dudes.
But that's how you get in this problem, right? They've drafted so well, you're about to have to pay Tyler Smith. Maybe it's the highest paid guard in football. You're about to have to pay Deron Bland, one of the top cornerback salaries. Eventually, though, Jake Ferguson, is he going to be wanting to be paid like the top tight end in football? So you can draft well. Eventually, you're going to have to pay those guys that you draft. So maybe there is a way that you can get smart and stagger some of these contracts. Unfortunately, it seems like for the Cowboys, they're all coming up at the same time.
Yeah, they haven't been able to stack them like they needed to. But that's an interesting way of looking at it, though. I personally agree. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
What they've been doing is adding voidable years at the end of contracts on, Tank and Zach and Dak and Zeke, and it, makes it long term a difficult salary cap proposition. But this is the reality facing every team. And, we're still waiting on the Cowboys to figure out how to manage this thing to optimize their chances of winning the Super Bowl, because they had a lot of good players on this team that have created this cap mess. And to have never gotten past the divisional round, it's one of the biggest disappointments I've ever seen in my entire sports life.